Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. Today we have an excellent guest. For those of you who are fans of the new Classic Physique division, this is one of the top stars, definitely one of the top rookies. I guess everybody's kind of a rookie in Classic Physique now, but we have with us George Peterson III. Welcome, George.
Thanks a lot, Ron. Thanks for having me. Shout out to MD. Appreciate you guys.
First question, do you intend to have a George Peterson IV?
You know something that's been in my plan since I was in elementary school. You know, gotta keep the name going. You know.
That's commitment, I gotta say.
Yeah.
And I would put that third at the end of my name if it was there. I would make sure everybody knew about it too.
Right.
Second question, before we get into anything serious, where did you get the nickname Da Bull?
That nickname actually has nothing to do with, bodybuilding or anything like that. I developed that nickname when I used to play basketball, growing up. I was very aggressive on the court, kind of like, want to say, somewhat bully guys, like out of my way to get the rebounds and everything. So I kind of developed that name, the Bull. And I've had that name with me since, like high school, and I've just carried it with me, all through.
Yeah, because the assumption is always it's got something to do with bodybuilding. And yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So what kind of sports were you into before you got into all this stuff?
I was into basketball, very into basketball. It's just unfortunate my height played against me, so I couldn't really go all the way with that. I was into football. I was very good in football. I was fast, but I could never play organized football because as soon as I put that helmet on, like my vision would just it would take me off. I couldn't play it with the helmet, so obviously I wasn't good enough to go in that route. But for years I've studied in the martial arts. I earned my black belt in Shotokan karate. And that was really my first love, the martial arts.
Okay. So how did weight training start? Was it for martial arts and for football?
Yes, it was for martial arts because Bruce Lee was my inspiration in martial arts.
Yeah.
And
how many times have you seen Enter the Dragon? I got over 100.
I'm pretty sure I'm over 100 too.
Yeah.
That, Enter the Dragon, Game of Death, like all of them.
Yeah.
But so I did a lot of research on Bruce Lee, and I researched that he introduced weight training into his regimen to become stronger with his maneuvers, his punches, and his kicks. So I mean, I looked up to him, so I wanted to do the same thing, and in doing so, my body actually started to change. I started to get more muscular. A guy at the gym I was training at, he noticed me, and he came up to me and asked me, "Hey, do you compete?" And I said, "No, I don't." He said, "You should." I said, "Why?" Because he said, "Because you, I can tell you have good genetics. You should think about it." So I was like, I never thought about it, but it sounds interesting. So through him, I did my, one of my first shows and placed in the top 5, and and so I was kind of hooked after that.
How old were you? How old were you at that point?
At that point, I believe I was about 25. I believe. Yeah.
Can I ask how old you are now?
Sure, I'm 33.
33, just a kid. My goodness. Okay. So you've been competing, well, really not that long in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
I know in bikini, like 2 years is forever, but bodybuilding, 8 years is like nothing.
Yeah.
So, I'm curious as to what body parts responded the best for you. I'm going to guess back, but I might be wrong.
You guessed right. I mean, yeah, my back was like the first thing that just started to really develop, majorly. People who's walking behind me would say, "Geez, George, your back looks, crazy." And, when someone would take a picture and show it to me, I'd be like, wow, like I didn't even realize my back looked like that. So yeah, my back definitely developed. I had to work extra hard to get other body parts to respond, like legs. I have pretty decent arms. It's the thing is my back is so big, it kind of like it overshadows other parts, somewhat. But yeah, I had to just put in a little extra work for like leg development, it's a little bit of arms, but back for sure took off.
Now we're going to throw up some pictures throughout this so people will see, but for those who aren't familiar, I would rate your back as better than 95% at least of people competing in open bodybuilding, which, you were an open bodybuilder, but still, most bodybuilders will never have a back like that. They should, but they won't.
Oh, wow.
So, okay, you start competing age 25, you placed. where did you go from there? What were your aspirations? Did you ever think this could be a career, something I want to turn pro?
Yeah, really, the reality of turning pro kind of never set into my mind. I was just having so much fun doing it, and I was having so much fun researching guys like Sean Ray, Lee Priest, Flex Wheeler, Ronnie Coleman, and I would always try to, emulate all of them, when I would go to the gym and train, and when I would step on stage and pose, I would try to emulate them, as best as I can. The possibility of turning pro really didn't set in until 2012 when I won the overall in the Mets the New York Metropolitan in 2012. I was a light heavyweight at the time,
Yeah.
and then at that time, that's when I really, set the goal. Okay, I can do this. I can turn pro, and I could be possibly a good professional. So it was at that time. But every show before that, it was I was just having fun, just kind of doing it.
Yeah. So New York is kind of a hotbed of it always has been because it's 10 million people living there, 20 million people.
Right.
But so you had a certain amount of pros around. Did you make a point to train at certain gyms where there were pros around? Did anybody help you out with guidance or advice?
Oh, absolutely. I've had a number of training partners throughout coming up, and the interesting thing about it is each training partner that I ended up switching over to helped get me to the next level. Like you had this one training partner that could get me kind of so far. Then, through circumstances, ended up getting a new training partner, and that training partner took me even further. So that worked out in my favor very well. I definitely, made it a mission to train at Bev Francis Powerhouse Gym anytime I could. Because when you go there, that's the Mecca, that's the East Coast Mecca. And if you ever want to be around, top pros and kind of feed off of that energy, that's where you want to be.
Just to give people an idea of what kind of a trek that is. You were living in Queens at the time, is that right?
Right, I'm living in Queens.
So
correct.
how long does it take you to get from there to Syosset, Long Island? I'm just curious.
I would say about 45 minutes.
Oh,
Could be an hour. Could be an hour.
All right, well, that's not bad. I would go there, but it's like a 6-hour drive.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so you were light heavyweight. You won the Mets 2012.
Right.
You moved up to heavyweight in 2013.
Right.
So, and you're about 5'7", 5'8", I want to say.
A little under 5'8".
Okay, yeah, that's. My doctor says I used to be 5'8" and a half, but 5'7" and 5'8", so we're in the same boat.
Right.
But a heavyweight, that's pretty sizable. Did you plan on keep going and eventually trying to even be a super, or what? Did you have any plan as far as where you wanted to go with this?
At that time, especially after I won the Mets, I was light heavy. I didn't set any limitations on myself at all. Like I felt like I could, go up to heavy, and hey, if my body allowed it, I could go up to super heavy. I didn't set any limitations. Ended up going, up to heavies, but I wasn't pleased with the way my physique was looking when I went up to heavies. I felt like I was it took away from my shape. I have a short torso, so the bigger I get, I'm gonna go out wide.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was taken away from my shape, and I wasn't happy with that. And after that, it really kind of turned me off from competing, and that's the reason why I kind of walked away after 2013 and haven't been back since until 2016.
Wow. So yeah, I read that and I was pretty shocked. Did you actually stop training or stop training at that high of a level? What did you do and for how long?
Yeah, for that full 3 years, I pretty much stopped training at that level. I was always worked out, but didn't train at that level, didn't eat at that level. Lost a lot of my gains. I actually I took some time and went back into the martial arts, started studying a little bit of jiu-jitsu. But it's almost like, I don't know, it's like that thing in your life that kind of calls you back, and it inevitably ended up calling me back because I had a long-time workout partner who's also a bodybuilder. His name is Marvin Elliott. He was interested in stepping back on stage in 2016, and since me and him were training together, I wanted to support him as much as I could. That's how, and he was going to work with my now coach Justin Miller.
Yeah.
And I went with him to go meet with Justin for support, and through that's kind of the way I ended up getting involved with, being back on stage. And I brought up to Justin, well, what about the classic division? I mean, because I don't want to go through what I went through in 2013 anymore. I don't want to, I don't want to go on stage and not be happy with the way I look. So what about the classic division? And Justin, when I first mentioned that, he didn't know what to think. He's like, I don't know, George. I think you might be a little too big for that, But then he looked and he's like, all right, well, let's give it a try. I mean, either one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to get first place or you're going to get last place. But I was like, I don't care.
Well, let's figure something out. As a heavyweight in 2013, what were you on stage at roughly?
About 215.
Okay. And I know for amateurs, the weight limit for classic is lighter. So what did you have to get down to for classic as an amateur? 177. Wow.
Yeah.
So that must have been crazy difficult for you to do.
Yeah, it was. I mean, when my body got down to, I would say, the low 190s, it kind of started to fight. No, I don't want to go down no more lower than that. So we had to take it take it to the more extreme and start reducing carbs even more, up the cardio even more. So it was it was really a challenge. But I wasn't afraid to take on the challenge because I felt like going down to that weight, that 177, at least. That should guarantee, if anything, that I'll be in good condition.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, I don't care. I didn't care about going on there and trying to be big. I just wanted to be shredded. Right. And I looked, I was very happy with the way I looked at 177.
So how many shows? I know you won the nationals overall 2016. Was there only one qualifier prior to that? Did you only do 2 shows as an amateur classic?
Yes, that's correct. I did the Eastern USA, and then I did nationals 2 weeks later.
Wow. not bad. So, I want to know, what classic was announced very early in 2016. What were your first thoughts about it? I think most guys I've talked to, especially those of us come from bodybuilding,
right,
kind of looked at it sideways because of the trunks and the fact that you don't hit all the poses. What did you think about classic?
I mean, I thought that classic was, pretty interesting. It just felt like another avenue, for certain guys to be able to compete. I guess, because they would describe it as like, in between division of physique and bodybuilding. So the guys who are like in between that, they have some place to go. And I know that when it first came out, a lot of people were, using Frank Zane as like the kind of like template name for it.
Right.
And I knew I didn't have a physique like Frank Zane, but when it came to the term classic, I felt like that Frank Zane wasn't the only name that could, represent classic. I mean, you have Frank Zane, you have Arnold, you have Lee Haney. I believe guys like Sean Ray, Flex Wheeler, all classic.
Yeah. So
to me, it didn't matter whether I didn't look like Frank Zane or not. I mean, if I could present like any classic look like that, then I felt like I would be good.
Now, when I talk to guys who don't have to do any cardio for prep, everybody hates them. So if you tell me how much cardio you did, and it sounds like a lot, people are gonna respect you because we all hate cardio. So how much cardio did you have to do to get down to 177?
Well, actually, I don't know if you're gonna be too, amazed by this, but it was pretty much at like an hour a day.
Okay, well, that's a good amount. That's a good amount.
Yeah. I know I hear some guys, go through 2 cardio sessions a day. I really only had to go through 1, and it was a full hour every time. But that's what it took for me to get down there.
All right, I respect that. That's an hour more than I would want to do. So as a pro, you were allowed to weigh, was it 187 for your weight, for your height? Okay.
Right, 187 as a pro.
Now, I've seen you posted side-by-side pics. I think Justin has 2 of you as a bodybuilder, as a heavyweight bodybuilder, and you as a 187-pound classic physique pro. And the bizarre thing, and this shows you how it's all an illusion what you see on stage, I think you look bigger as a classic physique guy at 187 than you did at 215. Do you get a lot of comments like that?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And everybody believes that I look much better and bigger as a classic physique competitor. And I know for a fact that if I remember I was asked this on one of my interviews after I won nationals, if my version of myself as a classic went up against the version of myself as a bodybuilder, who would win? I said without hesitation, the classic version of myself would win without a doubt.
Really?
Yeah, because I just show so much more detail. And you're right, it is an illusion when you're up there on stage and you have great detail. That gives the illusion that you're bigger than you really are.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, so it is it is a game of illusion up there.
Now, some critics, and I'm going to be straight up front, looking you straight in the eye. I have been one of these critics, George, where I said, to me, George Peterson is a bodybuilder. And by that, I mean, I think you would do very well. You are doing very well as a classic. I also think filling out just a little bit more, you could do well in either one. To me, you look more like a bodybuilder just because, you know, that's the background I come from, and that's what I'm looking for all the time.
Right.
And you could, obviously, you always have that option. You know, are you gonna stick with this for a while, the classic, and you know, get the most out of it? Maybe try and see if you can win the Olympia at that, and then, you know, keep that as an option as being a 212 pro eventually, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm definitely I'm definitely gonna go as far as I can with classic. You know, see you know what I can do. You know, is it possible that I can end up outgrowing the division and have to, you know, go to 212? Yeah, absolutely. And if that time comes, then, you know, I'm not opposed to going to 212. See, I want to treat this whole thing like a fighter would. You know, a fighter would start in a low weight class and eventually work his way up. And that's the same thing that how I want to treat this. You know.
With that being said, a lot of the classic guys I've talked to, they want the weight to go up again. Are you one of those guys, or do you like it where it is?
It would be nice to have the weight go up if we, you know, we're still maintaining, you know, good shape, you know, with the guys. And, you know, I mean, because realistically, we do want to have a distinction between the two. You know, we wouldn't want like a guy who looks like he could legitimately win a 212 show to, you know, but also be able to win a classic, because that kind of wouldn't make any sense. I mean, and despite what a lot of people, you know, feel about me, I mean, like right now, I'm not good enough to win a 212 show, you know, so that's the reason why, like, I feel like I'm, you know, I fit well in classic, because I couldn't win a 212 show. If you see me standing next to a real legitimate 212 champion, yeah, I'm not ready. Right. You know, so, but yeah, it would be nice to maybe just another 5 pounds.
Yeah, because I mean, tell me what you think, because you're one of the stars of this new division, and you know, it should be, as much as I'd like to see it be like classic bodybuilding, I understand that to stand out and be something unique, there have to be distinctions between bodybuilding and class physique, or else it's just another type of bodybuilding.
Right.
I mean,
right.
So, you know, like we've talked about maybe changing the trunks to like the, you know, the Arnold days with the thicker sides, but, you know, so you can see maybe a little bit of the bottom of the glutes, but definitely all the hamstring separation and everything, and put more poses into what you guys do, like maybe a front and lat spread add in. Would you like to see changes like that?
Absolutely. I mean, I love the Arnold style trunks, you know, where you know, show a little bit more of the leg and a little bit more of the side leg. You know, not necessarily showing the glutes, you know, but you know, that cut, I think is, you know, perfect. So I would love that if they decide to implement that design. I'm all for it. You know, and if not, and they want to keep the trunks the way they are, then I'm fine with that too. You know, it is what it is. I mean, the design that they have right now is kind of grown on me, so like I'm fine with it. But I would absolutely love it if they brought in those old school Arnold style trunks. And yes, definitely, it would be nice if, you know, we added some more poses. Maybe, like I said, I mean, I feel like there's some most muscular poses that can still be considered classic, like both arms behind the back, most muscular, or something like that. It can still be presented as classic. It won't have to look so hardcore like a crab most muscular, you know, like they do in bodybuilding. Yeah. And yeah. So I'm all for that.
Okay. Yeah, because one thing that critics of the, you know, like I was just driving back from the gym with my training partner. He's done classic, and to him, he doesn't like the classic pose of your choice, and I argue that that's actually kind of what sets this division apart. Is that there's one pose everyone gets to do as part of the judging that's totally your own choice and highlights your physique. Do you always do the same pose when they say classic pose of your choice?
Well, I did, like I say, as an amateur, my classic pose, my choice was a side tricep, and then I switched it up to like a one arm on the hip, and then bicep shot. Yeah. And I'm actually playing right now in the process of playing around with other, you know, classic poses of your choice. Because this is the thing, when it comes to the classic pose of your choice, and this is my recommendation for all classic, competitors. You want to hit a shot that you look your absolute best in. So me, I'm not gonna hit a Sergio Oliva victory pose because I can't make that shot look good. I know myself. I can't make that shot look good. So you have to choose something that really shows your body off the best and more in the most aesthetic. So yes, I'm definitely right now in the works of even working on more poses for that because I want to have an arsenal of poses that I could do.
Yeah. Well, while we're having you dole out advice to the aspiring classic guys out there, here's one I'd like you to comment on for a lot of people watching. I've noticed just a huge amount of guys in men's physique saying, I'm going to do classic next. And I've noticed a ton of guys who haven't been doing well in bodybuilding, and some of them have been competing a very long time. I'm going to switch over to classic. Who should make that switch? When are people actually ready for that switch and they're going to be suited to the class? What qualities do you think they should be looking for in themselves?
Well, I think they should definitely be looking for if their body has the shape that classic seems to be looking for. Because I really feel like that's one of the main factors with classic is shape. The most shapely guys you're gonna see doing the best in classic. So so if you're a physique guy and you have great shape, which most of them do, but you also have like a decent amount of muscle, and you want to have the opportunity to put on more, then I definitely say, okay, it's your time to switch to classic. You have the wheels, definitely the time to switch to classic. For for bodybuilders who are looking for another route, same thing. You obviously should already have the muscle, but if your body has the shape, then by all means come down, come down and get it on in classic, because I know what it's like, to feel like, oh, there's no place to go, you can't excel in this division, that, but now that we got classic, it gives a chance for a lot of guys,
Yeah. But I want to emphasize, I sometimes throw my 2 cents in here when it's not asked for, but a lot of guys seem to think just because they can get down to that weight for their height that they're necessarily a classic physique, someone who's suited for classic physique when, some of them have waists like, 3 feet wide and missing body parts and this and that. Right. But, the judges will sort that out for them. They'll let them know what's up. Let's talk about your rookie year now. It's been a long year already. So you did the New York Pro. That was your first show of the season. So if that was like third weekend in May, when did you start prep for that?
We started prep for the New York Pro. I want to say it was pretty long prep. I think we started like around January. I think we started.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by the time you're done for the year, which I assume will be after the Olympia, that's like 9 full months of dieting. God bless you. It's enough time. It's enough time to grow a baby. So. So here's what happened this year for you so far. New York Pro took second to Breon Ansley from LA.
Right.
No slouch. I don't think you feel any shame in losing to him.
Not at all, no.
And it was close. It was apples and oranges.
Right.
They went with the apple. Chicago Pro, second place again. Twice in a row. A lot of us I racked up many second places in my mediocre amateur career. Does it sting worse to get second for you than it would have to get like fourth or fifth because you came so close? Or does it mean, hey, I almost won. It could have gone either way.
Right. I think it did sting. The second place didn't sting at all. Like you said, Breon, he's very good, and I was slightly off during that prejudging. I was a little flat. And when you're going against someone like the caliber of Breon, you have to be really on point because he's very crisp. So I had no shame in that second place. The second place in Chicago, it hurt a little bit. I wasn't a spoiled sport about it. It hurt a little bit because I felt like I was better there than I was at the New York Pro. But it still felt good to know that I'm still right there. It was a very tough pill to swallow when when I came in sixth in Vancouver, because I was just so confused. I was, because Vancouver, I felt like that was my best showing to date, and to get sixth when I got second in New York, second in Chicago, I was just so confused. I was like, I don't know what happened, but and after that, I was, thinking about just calling it for the year, and maybe just try to, go for it, the next year. But Justin Miller, my coach, felt like Tampa is right around the corner. Let's just, keep it going. I was 1 point away as far as points. So a top 5 finish would have got me in. But thankfully enough, I came in, first place in Tampa. So I got that automatic qualification. It's very the sport is very it's very interesting, because like the best showing I felt, I got sixth. I mean, a good showing, but I don't feel like it was my best showing. I won, so it's like it's interesting, the way things can happen, in our, when we compete.
So I'm curious. I don't know if you have the answer to this, but sixth place in Vancouver, and which was your best look as far as you and Justin feel. Did you get beaten by guys you had already beaten in Chicago and New York at that show? Were any guys in that group?
Yeah. There was a few guys who actually, like all of the guys, like there was a couple of guys who placed ahead of me who I beat in Chicago, and then there was a couple of guys who placed ahead of me that I beat at nationals.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I can see why you might have been a little confused.
Yeah.
But I assume it was a totally different judging panel up there. I'm assuming. So it's a sport of opinion. They liked what they liked.
Right.
And that's why I point out to people. That's why Sean Ray was always trying to get the judging panels changed at the Olympia. Because if we have the same judges every time, they have the same preferences and they're going to go for the same exact physiques every time.
Right.
That's neither here nor there. It's interesting that a lot of bodybuilders have real jobs, but you work a 9 to 5 for Cablevision. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you balance that? When do you train? How do you get your meals in?
They have us. I just basically work around whatever schedule they give me. I mean, every few months they give us new schedules. So when I was prepping like for the New York Pro and all the shows, New York Pro, Chicago, Vancouver, at that time I was working mornings, 10-hour shifts. I was working from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. No, 9:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. So I would pretty much just train right after work. Luckily, my job is just 5 minutes away from Bear Francis Palace Gym, so I just go there right after.
Yeah.
I get 2 breaks and a lunch. So every break and a lunch, I'm eating a meal. So I get to eat 3 of my meals while I'm at work, 3 of the meals when I'm not at work. It pretty much works. I make it work. I feel like where there's a will, there's a way, and you can make things work. I mean, if Ronnie Coleman could be Mr. Olympia and still work for the police department, then why can't we all make things happen in our lives? Right now my current work shift is a night shift, 3:30 to midnight. So now I get to train during the day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
During midnight. Yikes.
Yeah. So now I get to train.
You were working 11-hour days. Is that what you just said before?
Before I was working 10-hour days.
10-hour days. So you figure an hour and a half of weights, an hour of cardio when you were prepping. What does that leave you time for in life? I mean, do friends and family sort of have to go by the wayside for 16 weeks?
Much. Yep, pretty much. I don't have any time really to hang out, go out with friends and families like that, like that. But I explain to them, and they understand. I always try to soothe them a little bit. Look, don't worry. The show is just like however many weeks away. It's just 6 more weeks away. It's just 3 more weeks away. Just don't worry. After that, we go out, we have some fun,
Yeah.
So, but I really didn't have any time, for anybody. I really had to put myself in a box and do what I had to do.
Okay. I like Justin Miller, so I'm going to let you him up here a little bit. I think one of the things I like about Justin is that when I see his Facebook posts about yourself, about Amit Roy, about his girl Rita, he really believes in his clients. Well, Rita's not just a client, obviously. But, he really believes in you, wants to see you do well. Whereas I don't think all coaches necessarily have that same level of commitment to their clients on a personal level. Does he become more of like also a friend to you and a supporter, as well as just somebody to tell you what to eat and how much cardio to do?
Absolutely. He definitely has become a great friend, because he shows genuine concern in all of his athletes. He does more than he has to a lot of times, and so and all of us who work with him, we definitely don't take him for granted, because we know that there's a barrage of coaches out there who don't do half of what Justin does, for his athletes. There's times where Justin goes almost the whole day training clients and really doesn't have any time for himself. Didn't even he'll go hours and hours without even getting something to eat because he's so focused on training his clients. Yeah, that's how committed and dedicated he is. And we definitely appreciate him for that. So and ever since especially after nationals and everything in New York, a lot of people have come up to me and asked me about Justin, and I'm always the first one to recommend him, because he's a great guy.
Cool. Now, have you watched the Mr. Olympia in person before? Have you been to the show?
I've never been to Mr. Olympia before ever. Yeah, no, this will be my first time going.
You'll be on stage.
Yeah.
That's right. It's obviously anytime as bodybuilders we start out, the Mr. Olympia is like the holy grail. So when you won Tampa Pro and you knew I guess all you had to do was make top 5, but when you knew for sure you were qualified for the Olympia, what was going through your head as far as, oh my God, I'm going to the Olympia?
I was there was a point when after they announced the second place, and there was a point where I went down on kind of on my knees, and I was like thinking to myself, is this real? Is this real? Because even though I've won amateur shows before, the fact that it started to feel like, wow, it seems like it's really hard for me to win a pro show. I wonder if it's ever going to happen. It started to feel like that in my mind. Is this ever going to happen? And when it happened, I was just thinking to myself, is this real? I was waiting to wake up and end up in my bed somewhere, it was just a dream. But it actually happened. So it was just very, very uplifting, for that to happen. It recharged me vitally, mentally. When I got off stage, it was like the theme of it all was finally. Everybody kept coming up to me saying, finally, George. So that felt very, really good. But yeah, it still actually hasn't set in yet that I'm going to be going to the Olympia and competing. But it is motivating, and I definitely intend to bring my absolute best package to that stage.
No, there's a good group of guys obviously heading over there. We got Danny Hester, the defending champion. Arash is coming back. You got the young guy. We got Breon. We got Chris Bumstead. But everyone's talking about Flex Wheeler, obviously. Right. When you heard Flex was coming back, what were your initial thoughts? If Flex is not only coming back, but he's going to be a classic physique pro and he's going to do the Olympia. Mm-hmm. Was it crazy to think, oh my God, I'm going to be up there with Flex Wheeler possibly?
It was pretty cool to think about it. I immediately thought to myself, okay, well, if Flex comes back, and if he if he brings anything like what we've seen of him before, then it's gonna be pretty cool to be standing next to a legend like that, and then hit shots with a legend like that, So I thought it was pretty cool. And what's funny thing is, not too long before he started announcing that he's going to do classic, I actually made a post on my Instagram with a picture of Flex Wheeler, saying that I believe that Flex Wheeler is classic. And then soon after that, like he made the announcement that he's doing classic, and I was like, oh wow.
Wow. You called it. You called it.
Exactly.
Wow. So we talked about this a little bit in our little brief interview at Tampa, but this division is definitely the fastest growing division. Why do you think it's really so popular? And so many young guys now. Everyone I talk to, all the kids, years ago everybody wanted to be a bodybuilder. Then maybe
Right.
like 4 years ago, all the kids talking to me was like, I'm going to do men's physique because they didn't want to train legs. But sorry guys. But now pretty much everyone, all the guys coming up to me and looking for advice or coaches or whatever, they want to do classic. Why do you think it's got such an appeal?
I believe it's gotten such an appeal because classic seems like it's supposed to represent like the golden era of bodybuilding, and I think that's very attractive to a lot of the young guys. I mean, because for years now, the people have been saying that they want bodybuilders to look like they did back in like the 90s, the 80s, and everything like that. And I feel like that's what classic is trying to represent. So that's very attractive to a lot of the young guys, who feel like that they can't get as big as like a Big Ramy or a Phil Heath or a Kai Green. They have that avenue of classic where they could be happy with the with the way their body is designed and show it off the best of their ability, without trying to go push to a level that they would have to almost destroy their body to get.
Yeah.
So not everybody's meant for that.
Well, I mean, let's be real. I don't think there are many guys in the world who could ever look, no matter what they did. They could never look like Big Ramy. They're never going to look like Kai Green. They're never going to look like Phil Heath. They see someone like, let's say, Danny Hester, who's the reigning classic. Most people are never going to have that shape, that structure, and everything anyway. But size-wise, they look at a Danny Hester, and I'm not going to use you because I think you look a lot bigger than a lot of the classic guys. That's why I say you look more like a bodybuilder. You have a real fullness, a real pop.
Right.
But I think it's just something they look at and say, yeah, I could probably get that big. Whereas, and that's where we have to be if we want to get more people in the sport. So
Right.
it's funny. I haven't seen much of a backlash. So when Men's Physique came out, a lot of guys were just like, "Arr!" They hated it. They were very upset about it. Classic doesn't seem to be getting as angry a reaction from the hardcore bodybuilders, which is good.
I think, it is interesting. I mean, it is a good thing. I don't know if it has to do with, because when you think about it, when Physique came out, what was the criticisms you were hearing? Like guys were saying that, oh, they don't train legs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in classic, clearly you have to train legs. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Or is it maybe it's the fact that a lot of classic guys are bringing great conditioning. And they, we're like, a lot of the guys are showing that this division can hold its own. It's legit, and the guys are getting better and better and better. On every show, so classic is definitely going to blow up. It's going to keep blowing up.
Do you think there's ever going to come a day where it overshadows open bodybuilding? We could be talking 10 years from now.
Yeah, 10 years from now. No, I don't think it'll overshadow bodybuilding because what could potentially happen is you'll get possibly a reboot of bodybuilding, whereas a lot of the great guys in classic start just put on a lot more quality muscle, still keeping in shape, and they end up moving into open bodybuilding, and that'll be the next wave of open bodybuilders.
It's interesting you say that because I've heard the opposite theory. Everyone's got a conspiracy theory. And the conspiracy theory with this was that they created classic. I'm not giving any validity to this. This is ridiculous in its own way.
Right.
By creating classic, they said, okay, now we don't have to worry about any aesthetics at all in open bodybuilding. If the guys want to have big guts and they want to have lumpy, bumpy shoulders and arms, whatever, that's cool. We're going to save the aesthetics and the little waist and all that for classic. Have you heard that conspiracy theory floating around?
I haven't heard that before, but
I know.
but no, I don't think that that's gonna be the case. Like I feel like even in open bodybuilding, you'll still get marked down for those things that you just named. I just think it's just gonna be it's gonna end up being just a new wave of open bodybuilders if a lot of classic guys just feel like they've max themselves out at that at that weight cap because I mean to be realistic, uh, if you have to keep making that certain weight,
Yeah.
which a lot of guys seem to struggle to make, like how can you see yourself making more improvements if you have to keep going down? It's like you're putting on quality muscles. Your weight is going up slightly, but you have to keep going down to this really low weight. How are you gonna continue to improve? So it may force a lot of guys, myself included. It may force a lot of us to end up just going, to the next level, but keeping the quality in what we bring.
I mean, that was my next question. It's very difficult, clearly, for you to get down to 187. Your body doesn't want to, and you have to sort of go to extremes to push it down to that weight. So, are there areas of your physique that you still want to bring up? And if so, how do you do that without getting over 187?
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely certain areas that I want to bring up. Definitely want to bring up my arms a little bit more. Yeah, maybe possibly a little bit more hamstring, maybe. But as far as how to make those improvements and still make it down to 187,
Yeah.
I mean that's going to be the challenge. I mean, luckily, I mean, see, this is my first year as a pro, so when my weight cap was 177 as an amateur, and turning pro, I had 10 extra pounds.
Yeah.
So in that regard, I was able to make some decent gains and go down again, because at least I didn't have to go back down to 177. If I had to go back to 177 with the gains that I put on, it would probably be close to impossible. But I'll just have to play it by ear, and see, maybe just have do longer preps where I just go down in weight slowly, and hold on to my gains maybe that way.
I actually have the answer for you. Ready?
Ready.
Train your back once a month. Lose a little bit off your back. Boom. You can put a couple more pounds on your arms, your hams, right? Was I the first person to suggest that, or no?
No, you know something? You're the second person. You know what the first person was me. I said to Justin. I said, Justin, all right, well, so if I want to, what should I do? Should I not train my back hard or something?
Yeah.
But no, Justin was like, no, keep training your back hard. But what we just have to do is we just have to starve your back a little bit, on my back days, my carbs would be lower compared to, say, on leg day when my carbs would be much higher.
Yeah.
So yes.
A funny story about that. I have a million stories. Tom Platz at one point decided he was only going to train his legs every third week, so every 3 weeks, and they didn't get any smaller. So
wow.
Who knows if your back's going to change at all? Maybe it won't. But
Maybe.
I'm curious. Does it bother you that everyone talks about your back, or is it kind of a cool thing that you're recognized for having this awesome back?
No, it's actually pretty cool. Like it's because when you think about it, all the legendary, Mr. Well, all the Mr. Olympias are legendary, but all of the Mr. Olympias, what do they all pretty much have in common? They all had great backs, So it's really cool, to be recognized for having a good back. They got that saying that shows one from the back. But so I take pride in it. It's very, very, very cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if shows are one from the back, you'd win every damn show. So it's not 100% accurate.
It's not 100%.
There is a lot to that statement.
Yeah.
All right. So last question for you, George. Yeah. Where do you want to go with classic physique as a pro? Where do you see yourself going the next couple of years? What are your goals in this?
Right now, my goal is to do the best I can on the Mr. Olympia stage. I do feel like I have the potential to become classic physique Mr. Olympia,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna do, put in as much work as I can to bring a Mr. Olympia caliber physique to that stage, and depending on what happens there, I mean, my goal is just to be really one of the best ambassadors, for the sport and for the division. A lot of the young guys who are considering classic, they always come to me for advice, and it means a lot to me when they do that. Because being a positive role model, especially for the young guys coming up, is very important because they're the future of the sport. So yeah, I definitely want to just be one of the most positive representatives of the sport and carry myself in a very positive light.
Cool. Well, I gotta say, it's been very interesting watching your rookie year. Obviously, I followed along with Justin's posts while you were prepping for New York, and all along I've been watching you as everybody else in this new division. You're definitely one of the top guys, and I'm looking forward very much to seeing you up on the Olympia stage. See how it all shakes out with the West Coast guys, the East Coast guys, the old guys, the young guys. It's gonna be. I'm a lot more excited, and I know I shouldn't say this, but I am more excited about the 212 and the Classic this year than I am the Open. There just seems like there's more going on, more drama,
Right.
more new faces, just a lot to look forward to. So I look forward to seeing you. I thank you so much for the interview, George. I will
Thank
be
you.
seeing you in Vegas in a few weeks, and ahead of time, I want to wish you best of luck.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate for having me.
Cool. For the Ronline Report, it's been Ron Harris with George Double Peterson III. All right.